The decision. In the cold, dark expanse of space, a council of the galaxy's most powerful beings met in the heart of an ancient space station. This was no ordinary meeting. It was a gathering of the most advanced and terrifying species in the universe. They had come to make one of the most important decisions of their long existence: what to do with Earth. The members of the council were a strange mix of creatures. Some were large and hulking, others thin and insect-like. Their eyes glowed with intelligence and power, their minds capable of calculating the smallest detail of the universe's workings. But today, they were focused on one thing: Earth. For centuries, Earth had been seen as nothing more than a small, insignificant planet, weak and vulnerable. It was a place where humans lived, a species far from the greatest powers of the galaxy. But that was before the discovery that Earth held something much more valuable than anyone could have imagined. The meeting room was silent as the council's leader, a towering figure with many eyes and arms, rose from his seat. He surveyed the room, his gaze sharp. He had led the council for hundreds of years, and today he would decide the fate of an entire planet. "We have decided," the leader spoke, his voice echoing throughout the chamber. "The time has come. Earth must be taken." Around the table, there were no objections. All of the species had agreed, at least in theory. But what did it really mean to take Earth? Most of them had little interest in its people. The humans were weak, unremarkable, and easy to control. But it wasn't the humans that had sparked their interest. It was something much greater. There were rumors, whispers even, of something buried deep within Earth, something ancient, something powerful. The humans themselves didn't know it, but they were the guardians of a force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The council had learned of this secret, and they were desperate to harness it for their own use. The decision had been made. Earth would be enslaved. The humans would be subjugated, their resources drained. The mysterious power would be seized, and the galaxy's most powerful civilizations would have it all. The leader raised a hand, signaling the beginning of the invasion. "Prepare the fleets. Ready the troops. Let us make history," he ordered. Across the galaxy, 100 different species began their preparations. Ships were fueled, weapons were sharpened, and fleets gathered in the darkest corners of space. They were ready to strike. Back on Earth, the first signs of the coming invasion were invisible. There were no sudden flashes of light or rumblings in the ground. For now, the planet remained peaceful, blissfully unaware of the storm approaching. But something was changing in the air, something no one could explain. A strange energy, growing ever stronger, like a distant storm on the horizon. In a quiet town in the middle of Earth's largest continent, a 13-year-old boy sat at his desk, staring out of the window. He was a shy boy, often overlooked by his peers. His name was Sam, and he lived a simple life. School, homework, and the quiet afternoons spent wandering the royal gardens near the palace were the most exciting things he knew. Sam had always been drawn to the gardens. It was a place of peace, filled with exotic flowers and ancient trees. He loved to walk through the rows of plants, breathing in the sweet scents and listening to the sounds of nature. It was his escape from the busy world around him. He never told anyone about his secret routine, not even his parents. Every day after school, he would walk to the garden and sit beneath the tall trees. He felt safe there, as though the garden protected him from the world's problems. But today, as he looked out of the window, something felt different. The sky seemed darker, the air heavier. Sam couldn't explain it, but he felt as if something big was about to happen. As Sam gazed out, he didn't know that across the galaxy, fleets of alien ships were already on their way to Earth. The Council's decision had been made, and soon, Earth would be changed forever. In the Council's chamber, the leader turned to his closest advisor. "We have chosen Earth," he said, his voice quiet but filled with conviction. "Let the conquest begin." The advisor nodded, a grim smile forming on his face. "Yes, it will be swift. No one will stop us." But what the council did not know was that Earth was not as helpless as they thought. Deep within the planet, hidden beneath layers of rock and ancient ruins, was a force that could change everything. A force that even the council had never predicted. Earth might be unprepared for the invasion, but the planet held a secret. And the council would soon learn that underestimating humanity had been their biggest mistake. The fleets continued their journey through the vast emptiness of space. And on Earth, Sam stood up from his desk, his gaze still fixed on the sky. He had no idea what was coming, but he couldn't shake the feeling that today, everything was about to change. As the days passed, Sam's feeling of unease grew stronger. It wasn't just the strange heaviness in the air, but the sense that something was out of place in the quiet town. His walks to the royal garden had become more frequent, and today, as he headed toward the entrance, he noticed something different. The birds, usually chirping happily, were silent. The wind, normally soft and gentle, was still. Sam paused at the edge of the garden, his eyes scanning the peaceful landscape. There was a strange energy in the air, an energy that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. He stepped cautiously into the garden, his shoes crunching lightly against the gravel path. He wasn't sure what he was looking for, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. Something big, something that would change everything. He wandered deeper into the garden, passing the ancient oak tree that had always been his favorite spot. But today, the tree seemed different. Its gnarled branches stretched higher into the sky, casting long, eerie shadows on the ground. Sam took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. "It's just my imagination," he muttered to himself, but even as he said the words, he knew they weren't true. There was something in the air, something he couldn't explain. Suddenly, there was a faint hum. At first, Sam thought it was just the wind, but then it grew louder, stronger, almost as if the ground beneath him was vibrating. He froze, his heart pounding in his chest. The humming grew louder still, and Sam felt an odd pull toward the center of the garden. With every step he took, the hum seemed to get louder. He glanced around, but there was no one in sight. The garden was empty. Yet the sound persisted, vibrating through the very earth beneath him. As he reached the heart of the garden, the humming stopped. It was replaced by a chilling silence. Sam stood still, his breath shallow, his eyes darting around, searching for any sign of what was happening. That's when he saw it. A flicker of light in the distance, as if the very air itself was shimmering. He took a step back, his instinct telling him to run. But he couldn't move. His feet felt frozen to the ground. The shimmering light grew brighter, closer, until it was a blinding flash. Sam shielded his eyes, his heart pounding in his chest. And then, in the blink of an eye, it was gone. The light disappeared, leaving behind nothing but an eerie, empty silence. Sam stood in the garden, staring at the spot where the light had been just moments ago. His mind raced with questions. What had just happened? Was it some sort of trick? Had he imagined it? But before he could think any further, a voice rang out behind him. "You are not alone, human." Sam spun around, his heart skipping a beat. There, standing in the shadows of the garden, was a figure. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Tall and slender, its skin shimmered in the dim light, shifting colors like liquid metal. Its eyes were bright, glowing, and piercing as it locked onto Sam's gaze. For a moment, neither of them moved. Sam couldn't speak. His mouth was dry, his mind in a state of shock. He had never seen anything like this creature before, and the sheer presence of it sent chills down his spine. The creature took a step forward, its movements smooth and graceful. "I have been watching you, human," it said, its voice a soft, melodic hum, as if every word vibrated through Sam's very soul. "You are the key." Sam's knees wobbled, and he took a hesitant step back. What? What do you mean?" he managed to stutter. The creature tilted its head slightly, as if considering his words. "You have no idea, do you? You, who have wandered these gardens day after day. You, who unknowingly carry the fate of this planet in your hands. Sam felt his throat tighten. I don't understand. Who are you? The creature's lips curled into what could almost be called a smile. I am from the stars, from a place far beyond your world. I am here because your planet is in grave danger. And you are the only one who can stop it. Sam's mind raced. He had no idea what this creature was talking about. The only thing he knew for sure was that he had never been more terrified in his life. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could form a word, the creature continued. The fate of Earth rests on your shoulders. Little human, it said, its voice growing more serious. The decision has already been made. The galaxy's most powerful civilizations have chosen Earth to be their prize. They plan to take everything from you. But there is a force here, a power that could turn the tide. A power hidden deep within your planet's core. Sam's eyes widened. He had never heard of any power like that. What was this creature talking about? Was it telling the truth? And why had it come to him? The creature's eyes softened slightly. You must come with me, Sam. Time is running out. The fleets are already on their way. Before Sam could respond, the creature turned and began to walk toward the trees at the edge of the garden. Without thinking, Sam followed, his curiosity overwhelming his fear. As he walked, a single thought echoed in his mind. His life had changed forever, and Earth's fate was now in his hands. Sam followed the alien deeper into the royal garden, his mind a whirlwind of confusion and fear. The words it had spoken echoed in his mind like a distant drumbeat. The fate of Earth rests on your shoulders, it had said. The galaxy's most powerful civilizations had chosen Earth, and they were coming. But why him? Why had this creature chosen him to reveal such a horrifying truth? He stole a glance at the figure walking ahead of him, its shimmering skin catching the fading light of the setting sun. It moved effortlessly, almost gliding across the ground, as if the earth itself bent to its will. Sam's thoughts were racing. What did it mean by the key? What power could he possibly possess that would make him so important to the fate of the planet? Finally, the alien came to a halt in front of a cluster of ancient stone pillars that Sam had never noticed before. They were partially hidden by thick vines, their surface worn and weathered by time. But there was something undeniably powerful about them. Something ancient. The creature turned to face Sam. Its eyes glowed softly in the dim light, and Sam could feel the weight of its gaze upon him, as though it was peering directly into his very soul. You have questions, it said, its voice calm yet filled with an undercurrent of urgency, and you deserve answers. Sam swallowed hard, his throat dry. I don't understand, he managed. What do you mean, I'm the key? And what's this power you're talking about? The alien's expression remained unreadable, but it seemed to pause, as if considering how best to explain. This garden, this planet, it is not just a place. It is an ancient source of power, a power that has been hidden for millennia. The beings who rule the galaxy are aware of it, but they do not understand it. They wish to harness it, to use it for their own control, but they do not know how. That is why they have chosen Earth. That is why they are coming. Sam's head spun. But why me? I'm just a kid. Why am I part of this? The alien stepped closer, its voice soft but filled with a strange, comforting certainty. Because you are more than just a human child, Sam. You have a unique connection to this world, a connection to the power that lies hidden beneath its surface. Your ancestors, long before your time, protected this power. And now it is your turn to do the same. Sam blinked, trying to process the alien's words. His ancestors. Protecting some kind of power. What did that even mean? He had never been told anything like this before. It was as if the entire world he had known was suddenly a lie. You were chosen for a reason, Sam, the alien continued, its voice soothing. You have a gift that can unlock the power of this world and save it from the coming darkness. Gift? Sam echoed. What gift? I don't have any special powers. The alien's eyes softened. You do, but you have yet to understand it. The power you carry is tied to your emotions, your heart. It is something deep within you, something you have always carried, but you have not yet unlocked its potential. Sam's mind reeled. What was it talking about? He was just an ordinary kid. He loved visiting the royal garden, reading books about adventure, and dreaming of a life far beyond the dullness of school and everyday routines. How could he have some kind of hidden power? The alien reached out, gently resting its hand on Sam's shoulder. You are not as ordinary as you think. The gift you have is tied to the very core of this planet, and the moment you unlock it, the galaxy will tremble. Sam felt a chill run down his spine. The way the alien spoke made it sound like the weight of the universe itself was resting on his shoulders. He wanted to ask more questions, to demand answers, but the words caught in his throat. Everything was happening so fast, and his mind couldn't keep up. What do I have to do? Sam finally asked, his voice shaky but determined. The alien nodded, as if it had been waiting for this moment. First, you must find the ancient temple hidden beneath the garden. It has been lost to time, but its location is within you. You must trust yourself, Sam, and follow the path that lies before you. Only then will you be able to unlock the power within you. Sam hesitated. A temple beneath the garden. It sounded impossible, but the alien's certainty was impossible to ignore. Everything inside him screamed that this was real, that this was something he had to do. He didn't understand why or how, but he knew he couldn't turn back now. Okay, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I'll do it. The alien smiled, if it could even be called a smile. Its eyes glowed brighter, and it stepped back, gesturing toward the ancient stone pillars. Then your journey begins now, Sam. As Sam stood there, staring at the pillars, a strange calm settled over him. His heart raced, but there was a newfound clarity in his mind. He wasn't just a kid anymore. He had a purpose, a mission that was bigger than anything he could have imagined. And as he stepped forward toward the stone pillars, he knew one thing for certain. His life was about to change forever. The evening air grew colder as Sam stepped closer to the stone pillars. The alien beside him remained silent, watching him with an intensity that made his skin prickle. Sam's heart was pounding now, the weight of what had been revealed to him pressing heavily on his chest. He had agreed to follow this strange, alien figure, but as he stood before the ancient pillars, a doubt crept into his mind. What was he really getting himself into? Could he even do what was being asked of him? The alien's voice broke through his thoughts. You will find what you need within these pillars, Sam. Trust the path. Trust the path. Sam wasn't sure what that meant, but he couldn't deny the urgency in the alien's tone. He had no choice but to follow. With a deep breath, he reached out and placed his hand against one of the stone pillars. Instantly, he felt a sharp pulse of energy surge through his fingertips. It was warm at first, then it spread through his entire body like wildfire. Sam stumbled back, his heart racing faster than ever. His head felt light, and for a brief moment, the world around him seemed to blur. The alien didn't move, its gaze fixed on Sam with what seemed like a knowing smile. You feel it, don't you? The connection to the ancient power that lies dormant. Sam nodded, his hand still tingling from the strange sensation. What was that? What's happening to me? The power is awakening inside you, the alien explained softly. It is ancient and powerful, linked to the very core of this planet. Only a few are chosen to unlock it. You have the ability, Sam. You just need to follow the signs. Sam's thoughts raced. A few moments ago, he was just a normal 13-year-old boy. And now he was in the middle of a secret garden with an alien, his body inexplicably tied to a hidden power. It didn't make sense, but somehow it felt real. He could feel it. Something inside him was stirring. Something powerful. But what was he supposed to do with this power? What was he supposed to find? The alien had mentioned an ancient temple beneath the garden, but it didn't say much more than that. Sam felt a surge of frustration. He wanted answers now, but he couldn't afford to waste time. Taking a deep breath, Sam turned to the alien. "I'm ready. I'll find the temple." The alien nodded, its eyes glimmering. "The path is not simple, Sam. Many who have come before you have failed, but you are different. You have the heart and the courage to see this through. Do not doubt yourself." With those words, the alien stepped back and motioned for Sam to lead the way. The air felt charged as Sam walked toward the center of the garden, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. As he walked, the world around him seemed to grow quieter, the once vibrant sounds of the garden growing distant, as if the very atmosphere was holding its breath. The only sound left was the steady rhythm of Sam's footsteps. He walked for what seemed like an eternity, yet the garden appeared unchanged. The same trees, the same flowers, the same stone pathways. Nothing was different. But Sam couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Every rustle in the wind, every flutter of a leaf seemed to send a ripple of energy through him. It was as though the garden itself was alive, aware of his every move. After what felt like hours, Sam reached a small, secluded corner of the garden. The trees here were older, their trunks twisted and gnarled with age. Beneath them, a strange moss covered the ground, glowing faintly in the dimming light. Sam felt an undeniable pull to the ground, as if the earth beneath his feet was guiding him towards something hidden. Without thinking, Sam crouched down and parted the thick moss. There, beneath it, was a narrow stone opening. It was hidden so well that he would never have noticed it if he hadn't been drawn to it. A cold breeze emanated from the crack, and Sam could feel his heart race faster. "This is it," he whispered to himself, his voice barely audible. The alien, who had been silently following him, now stepped forward, its gaze steady. "You have found it. The temple lies beyond this entrance. It is your next step, Sam." Sam felt a surge of uncertainty, but there was no turning back now. He had come too far, and this hidden temple was the key to understanding everything that had been unfolding around him. The power inside him, the alien's cryptic words, the fate of Earth, it all depended on what lay beyond this stone door. He reached out, his hand trembling slightly as he grasped the cool stone. With a deep breath, Sam pushed. The door creaked loudly, the sound echoing through the garden like a warning. It opened slowly, revealing a dark passage that seemed to stretch into the depths of the earth. Sam stood there for a moment, the weight of the moment sinking in. This was it. He was about to embark on something that would change everything. Taking one final glance at the alien, who stood silently watching, Sam stepped forward into the unknown. The path ahead was shrouded in mystery, but Sam knew one thing for sure. He was no longer just a shy boy visiting the royal garden. He was part of something much larger, and the future of Earth rested in his hands. Sam's breath caught in his throat as he stepped into the dark passage, the air colder and more still than he had ever experienced before. The stone beneath his feet was smooth and slick with moisture, but he didn't hesitate. His fingers brushed against the walls, tracing the intricate carvings that spiraled around them like ancient symbols. Each mark seemed to pulse with a faint glow, as if the temple itself were alive, waiting for him to unlock its secrets. The silence was oppressive, even the usual sounds of the garden. The rustling leaves, the chirping birds, were completely gone. The only sound left was the echo of Sam's footsteps, growing fainter and fainter as he moved deeper into the passage. Beside him, the alien remained a silent figure. Its presence was both comforting and unsettling. Sam wasn't sure what to make of the being anymore. It had guided him this far, but was it a friend, or was it using him for its own purpose? He had so many questions, but now was not the time. The path ahead felt urgent, and his mind was consumed by the mystery of the temple. Suddenly, the passage widened into a cavernous chamber. The air was thick with an ancient energy, and Sam felt a shiver run down his spine. The chamber was enormous. The ceiling lost in shadow, but there was no mistaking the presence of something extraordinary here. At the far end of the room stood an altar, glowing faintly with a golden light. Sam's heart raced as he moved toward it, the anticipation nearly suffocating him. The alien, however, stayed at the entrance, its gaze unwavering. "This is where your journey begins," it said in a voice that resonated deeply within Sam's mind. "What you find here will reveal the truth." The truth. Sam's mind was spinning. What truth? Why was this temple hidden beneath a garden? What was the power that was awakening inside him? What had the alien meant when it said he was chosen? He reached the altar, the golden light bathing him in warmth. On the surface, there were more carvings, symbols he couldn't understand, but they seemed to be connected to everything that had happened since he first stepped into the garden. They were so intricate, so complex, that they almost seemed alive, shifting as if they were part of a greater pattern. Without thinking, Sam placed his hand on the altar. Instantly, a surge of energy coursed through his body, more intense than anything he had felt before. His legs buckled beneath him, and he dropped to his knees, his vision blurring as the power washed over him. It was like 1,000 voices whispering in his mind, all speaking at once, but he couldn't make sense of any of them. The energy was overwhelming, nearly suffocating. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the surge of energy stopped. Sam gasped for air, his chest heaving, his heart racing. He looked down at his hands, half expecting to see them glowing with power, but there was nothing. It was as if the moment had never happened. "What? What just happened?" Sam whispered, his voice hoarse. The alien stepped forward, its eyes glowing faintly in the dim light of the chamber. "You have felt it, Sam. The power of the ancients. It has chosen you. And now you must unlock its full potential." Sam shook his head in confusion. "But I don't understand. What am I supposed to do?" "You are the key," the alien said simply. "You always have been." Before Sam could respond, the altar began to shift. The golden light brightened, and the carvings on its surface started to move, shifting into new patterns. The floor beneath Sam's feet rumbled as the chamber seemed to come alive. The walls, which had once appeared solid, now revealed hidden doors, ancient pathways leading deeper into the heart of the temple. Sam looked around in awe. "What is this place?" he asked, his voice filled with wonder. "This is where your destiny will be sealed," the alien replied, its tone grave. "Beyond these doors lies the final trial. Only you can face it, Sam. Only you can uncover the truth that lies buried deep within the heart of the temple." Sam hesitated for a moment, but then his sense of purpose returned. He had come this far. He couldn't turn back now. There was something inside him, something deeper than fear, that pushed him forward. He knew this was the moment that would change everything. With a deep breath, Sam stood up, wiping the dust from his knees. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady. "I'll face whatever comes next." The alien nodded, its eyes glowing with approval. "Then go. The truth awaits." Sam took one final glance at the alien before walking toward the now open door. The passage beyond was dark, but the faint glow of the altar still lit the way. He stepped through, his heart pounding in his chest. The weight of the moment pressed heavily on him, but Sam knew one thing for certain. This was no longer about just discovering a hidden power. It was about saving the world. The temple had chosen him, and now it was time to uncover the secrets that would decide the fate of Earth. Sam's heart raced as he stepped into the next chamber, the air thick with anticipation. He didn't know what to expect, but he could feel the weight of it pressing against him, the weight of the power that had chosen him, the weight of his responsibility. His footsteps echoed in the silence, the only sound in the otherwise still room. The walls around him seemed to pulse with an energy of their own, and the faint glow of the altar he had touched before still lingered in the air, as if guiding him forward. In front of him, the chamber opened up into a massive circular space. The floor was covered in strange symbols, glowing faintly with a soft blue light. In the center of the room stood a massive stone pedestal, and atop it, an object that shimmered with an eerie, almost otherworldly glow. It was a crystal, but unlike anything Sam had ever seen before. Its edges were sharp and jagged, but it seemed to pulse with an energy that was both beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Sam couldn't tear his eyes away from it. The object called to him, as if it were part of him, as if it was the missing piece of the puzzle he had been trying to solve. Suddenly, the air around him seemed to shift. A deep, rumbling voice echoed through the chamber, vibrating in Sam's chest. "Sam, the final trial begins now." Sam froze. He knew that voice. It was the alien's voice, but somehow it sounded different, distant, as if it was coming from somewhere else entirely. "The crystal before you," the voice continued, "holds the key to the power that flows through this temple. Only one who is worthy may take it, and only one who is ready can unlock its potential. The trials you faced have prepared you for this moment, but only you can decide if you are truly ready for what lies beyond." Sam swallowed hard. The pressure of the moment felt heavier than anything he had ever felt before. He had already made it this far, faced challenges he could never have imagined. But was he truly worthy? Was he ready to harness the power that lay ahead? The crystal seemed to pulse with energy, its glow growing brighter, more intense. Sam's instincts screamed at him to step forward, but something held him back. He had to be careful. This wasn't just about power, it was about control. And if he wasn't ready, he could lose everything. The voice spoke again, this time softer, almost soothing. "You are not alone, Sam. Trust in what you've learned. Trust in the power that's within you." Sam took a deep breath, his hands trembling at his sides. The alien had been guiding him this whole time, but the choice was still his. He could feel the power in the crystal, but he knew the moment he touched it, everything would change. He would be more than just a shy 13-year-old boy. He would be something else entirely. With a steady hand, Sam stepped toward the pedestal. The symbols on the ground beneath him shifted, forming new patterns as he approached. The air grew thick, charged with energy, as if the entire chamber was holding its breath. Sam reached out, his fingers brushing the surface of the crystal. The moment he touched it, a surge of energy shot through him, knocking him off his feet. His vision blurred, and for a split second, everything around him went black. When his eyes snapped open again, he found himself standing in a vast, endless void, surrounded by swirling cosmic energy. It felt as though time had stopped, and he was floating in the middle of the universe. "This is the true trial," the alien's voice echoed around him. "You must face your deepest fears, your greatest doubts. Only then will you be able to wield the power that the crystal holds." Sam felt his heart race as he looked around. The void seemed to stretch on forever, an endless expanse of stars and darkness. But then he saw something. A figure, standing alone in the distance. It was him. Or at least it looked like him. The figure in the distance turned, and Sam felt his chest tighten. It was an older version of himself, someone who had already faced these trials and emerged victorious. The older version of himself looked back at him with a knowing gaze, as if he understood exactly what Sam was going through. "You're afraid," the older version of Sam said, his voice calm, yet full of authority. "Afraid of what you might become, of the power you might wield. But that fear will be your greatest strength." Sam stood frozen, unsure of how to respond. He had never considered himself powerful, never thought of himself as someone who could change the fate of the world. But now, in the face of this trial, he was beginning to see that maybe he had more inside him than he ever realized. The figure stepped closer, his gaze never leaving Sam's eyes. "You're ready," it said. "The power is within you. All you have to do is embrace it." Sam felt the weight of the words settle in his chest. He wasn't just ready for this power. He had to be ready. The fate of Earth was in his hands. And in that moment, Sam understood. He wasn't alone in this trial. He had already passed the tests that mattered the most: courage, trust, and the willingness to face the unknown. With newfound resolve, Sam reached out, accepting the power that was his birthright. The darkness around him began to fade, and he returned to the temple. The crystal in his hand pulsed with a powerful energy, now a part of him. He had done it. He had passed the final trial. Sam stood in the center of the chamber, the glowing crystal now firmly embedded within his palm. It hummed with energy, filling his body with a power he could hardly comprehend. It wasn't just the energy of the crystal. It was something deeper, something that seemed to connect him to the very fabric of the universe. It felt as if he were one with the stars, with the galaxies, with everything. He had passed the trials. He had faced his fears, accepted his doubts, and unlocked the potential that lay dormant inside him. But even now, standing in the temple, surrounded by the ancient alien architecture, Sam couldn't shake the feeling that his journey had only just begun. The chamber had fallen silent. The hum of the crystal was the only sound that remained, but it seemed to carry a weight now. Sam could feel it in his bones. The entire universe seemed to be holding its breath. Suddenly, the alien voice spoke once more, this time with a tone of finality. "Sam, you have completed the trials. You have proven yourself worthy of the power that the crystal holds. But your task is not yet over." Sam's heart skipped a beat. He had known it wasn't going to be as simple as taking the crystal and becoming some kind of hero. He had always known that with power came responsibility, and this was no exception. "What must I do?" Sam asked, his voice steady despite the overwhelming pressure on his shoulders. "Now you must return to Earth," the alien voice replied. "The civilizations of the galaxy will not rest until they have bent Earth to their will. They will see your power and seek to control it, to use it for their own purposes. But you, Sam, must stand against them. You are not just the keeper of the crystal. You are the protector of Earth's future." The weight of the words hit Sam like a tidal wave. The fate of Earth rested in his hands. He wasn't just a boy anymore. He was the key to humanity's survival in a galaxy that had already decided its fate. The alien civilizations that had once looked down on Earth, those that had planned to enslave them, were now looking at him as the one thing standing in their way. He couldn't fail. Sam looked down at the crystal, its glow now steady and unwavering. He knew that with it, he had the power to change everything. He could reshape the future, not just of Earth, but of the entire galaxy. But at what cost? "I understand," Sam said, his voice unwavering now. "I won't let Earth fall." The air around him seemed to shift, and the chamber began to tremble as if acknowledging his vow. The alien voice spoke one last time. "You are the Earth's last hope. Go and bring an end to the invasion before it even begins." With those final words, the chamber around Sam began to collapse, the walls crumbling away into dust. The alien temple, once a place of power and mystery, was now nothing more than rubble. Sam had completed the trials, unlocked the power of the crystal, and proven himself worthy. Now, the galaxy would feel the consequences of their choices. As the temple fell away, Sam found himself standing once more on Earth's surface. The crystal still pulsed in his hand, but he now understood its true purpose. It was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, a symbol of hope in the face of an overwhelming enemy. He was no longer the shy, quiet boy who had once wandered the royal gardens. He was something more. He was the protector, the defender of Earth, and no alien empire would ever dare to enslave humanity again. The sky above him was vast, stretching into infinity. The stars, once distant and cold, now seemed within his reach. The galaxies, the civilizations, the entire universe, Sam was ready to face them all. With the crystal in hand and the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders, Sam took his first step toward the future of Earth, and perhaps the future of all life in the universe. The alien civilizations would know. Earth would not fall, and Sam would make sure of it.